guys, and welcome back to the channel. We're spicing things up with our brand new series of movie recap videos, and today's selection is a nice little family horror movie called The Babadook. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The movie starts off with a shot of the lead character, Amelia, in the back of her car, and something just doesn't seem right. Oh yeah, she's getting into a car crash. She can hear her son calling out to her, and it all happens again. Well, that's one way to start a horror movie. But wait, there's more. She's actually reliving the incident as a dream and falls to her bed, finally snapping out at the drama. It turns out that the part where her son was calling her was true. Little Samuel tells mommy he's had the dream again. Oh yeah, and they've got a dog named Bugsy. He's such a good boy. She checks his room for the monster, but nothing's there. It's still nighttime, so she reads him a story about the wolf and the three little pigs. Samuel tries to act brave, saying he'll smash his head. But we all know he's pretty scared right now. He asks Amelia to read the story again, and she obliges him. They're sleeping, and we see some extra affectionate mother-son love. Ugh. The title card informs us that we are indeed watching The Babadook. The alarm goes off, Amelia is still asleep, while Samuel makes some slinging weapons using house items. Boy, we know this kid is gonna be trouble. We get a confirmation when Amelia is woken up by the sound of the little troublemaker breaking stuff in the house. It doesn't help when he shows mommy the power of the slinger too. Amelia is pissed and no amount of magic tricks are gonna lighten her up. She tells Samuel that this monster talk needs to stop. Samuel hugs her weirdly, and the interaction that follows is a bit too WTF for me to elaborate on further. Amelia drops Samuel off at the school and heads over to her job. She's a nurse. She gets a call from the school in the middle of work. Samuel brought one of his gadgets to class. She meets with the school authorities, and boy are they pissed. They want to separate Sam from his classmates and assign him a monitor. This clearly doesn't go down well, and there is an argument which breaks out. She decides to shift Samuel to another school and takes him with her. Samuel is sad because he thinks his teachers hate him. An awkward conversation with a stranger informs us that his dad had died in a car accident while driving his mom to the hospital to have him. Yeah, that's probably not what you want to hear when someone's introducing themselves. Now Amelia is at the park talking to her sister Claire while their kids play. Claire tells her that her daughter, Ruby, doesn't want to share her birthday party with Samuel. Speaking of Samuel, that little shit keeps on calling out to his mom. She doesn't listen to him, and he climbs to a dangerously high spot to get her attention. Needless to say, he falls and cries all the way on the ride back home. Kids can be such a menace. Amelia isn't too happy about it either. They then get back home and we're introduced to their neighbor, Mrs. Roach. Anyway, Bugsy wants some belly rubs, and he gets them all right because he's a good boy. Amelia notices Bugsy scratching against the basement door, but it's locked. Surely it's nothing, right? Well, I hope so. Yep, it's probably nothing. Anyway, it's nighttime now, and Amelia checks out the monster again before asking Samuel to choose a bedtime story. He picks up a big red book. It's apparently about this nice guy called Mr. Babadook. Anyway, that's an interesting name. I wonder why though. It's a fancy book, sure, but the poems aren't exactly for kids. We can hear some really weird insect sounds, and I'm starting to get really anxious now. The poem gets dark, and I mean, who the hell wants to read shit like this with a freaking guy popping up on your face? Amelia wants to stop, but Samuel wants to continue. Yeah, I'm not exactly enjoying that kid right now. He clearly understands his mistake when lines like, "You're going to wish you were dead," pop up. The little crybaby seeks comfort in his mum's lap, while all I've got is my noisy neighbor. Amelia doesn't like what she sees, so she keeps the book on top of a cupboard. She proceeds to watch some adult content on TV with Bugsy. I'm not sure if she should be showing him that kind of stuff though. But anyway, we go back to Samuel, who senses that there's something in his closet. Amelia doesn't care about any monsters. She just wants to have a good time. Even the sudden opening of the door doesn't stop her. But yeah, little Samuel ruins the fun for her just near the end of her playtime. And now he's given the monster a name, the Babadook. Oh great. Amelia lets him sleep next to her and gets the book. She hears some strange knocking but ignores it and then goes to sleep. Some weird light stuff happens, but it's just the movie being sped up to take us to the next morning. Amelia is going to drop Samuel off at her aunt's and stop him from carrying that stupid sling weapon of his. She proceeds to go to work, but has a hard time. Luckily, she's got a good friend by the name of Robbie, who offers to cover for her shift. Amelia enjoys a well-deserved break. She feels jealous when she sees two lovers sucking mouths. She almost gets caught in the middle of it all, but she then avoids it by checking on her phone. But look, there's 10 missed calls. Turns out that Samuel's Babadook talk has spooked out Claire and Ruby. Amelia tries to talk to him, but he just bursts some crackers he bought on the internet. They fight in the car over this new Babadook obsession. Samuel tries to impress Bugsy with his magic, but the fireworks at the end ruin the show. Amelia notices that he's trying this stuff out in the basement because he's got the key. They get into an argument about it, but Robbie shows up with some flowers. Good for you, Aunt Amelia, but wait, she has a fight with Samuel in front of him. We find out that the basement is where Amelia keeps her dead husband's belongings. Anyway, Samuel does his annoying thing and complains that his mom won't let him have a party or a dad. Yeah, the date is surely spoiled now. Amelia goes through some of her husband's things and gets spooked by an outfit hanging on the wall. Yeah, I kind of shrieked a little bit there too. It is dinner time, and it looks like there's broken glass on the menu. Samuel says it's the Babadook, but Amelia doubts him, and at this point, so do I. Samuel watches some creepy magic show while Amelia goes to her room. There's a photo of her and her husband Oscar, but it's spoiled with some pen marks. Furious, she confronts Samuel about it, but he just brings out some weapon to fight the Babadook. They argue some more and Samuel loses his shit. The kid literally pushes his mom and asks her if she wants to die. What the hell is even happening now? Amelia is by herself downstairs and the lights flicker. Meanwhile, Samuel sees something in his closet and screams. Amelia rushes to the room and sees the mess. His son is shit scared and hiding under the bed. He keeps repeating the words over and over again, "Don't let it in." Wait, what's that? It's the goddamn book, it's back! Oh man, it's really getting spooky now. Amelia tears the book apart and throws it in the trash, and now we're at Ruby's birthday party. There's an awkward and silly conversation amongst the mothers, but Amelia ain't buying any of their bullshit. The kids play outside, but Samuel is in the treehouse. Ruby doesn't like it. They end up fighting and exchange some mean words. I mean, really mean shit. Amelia and Claire get into the heated discussion too. The tension is really building up well. Huge shout out to Jennifer Kent for building such a serious tone. Ruby taunts Samuel by telling him his dad doesn't want him or his mom, and that's why she dies. Damn, what a bitch. Samuel thinks so too and pushes her out the treehouse. Her nose is bleeding and obviously this is what Claire needed to lash out at her sister. What follows next is the one with the meme. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you take out the funny picture, it's a pretty disturbing scene to watch. Samuel screams at something in the car that Amelia can't see. He has some kind of anxiety attack and is taken to the doctor. This is so emotional to see how difficult it is for a single mom. You gotta appreciate Essie Davis for playing that role to perfection. The doctor suggests a psychiatrist, but Amelia begs for sedatives and eventually he agrees. Amelia and Samuel bond over their shared trauma and Amelia gives him the medicine. She drops to sleep herself and wakes up late. She shuts the door, but the knocking happens again, but with a lot more aggression tied to it. Now, I personally wouldn't run to my room, but Amelia opens the door again, only to see the book has returned with all the pages stuck back together. The sequence that follows is an ominous foreshadowing of what's to come. There are some new pop-ups that have some not so pleasant suggestions of what Amelia is going to do. Yeah, things aren't looking too good. She's had enough and burns the book. She talks to Claire, who's still pissed about Samuel breaking Ruby's nose. Amelia tells her that she might have a stalker because of the book being returned. Claire doesn't care and hangs up. Now I can see why Ruby turned out the way she did. Amelia gets another call, but it ain't Claire. It's the goddamn Babadook with his super creepy voice. What the hell is that voice? I'm practically pissing myself right now. She runs to the police for help, but they can't do anything because the book has been burnt. Amelia wants them to do something, but she sees some glimpses of that black coat bastard in the station. The effects are simple but effective. Now we can see a bit of influence taken from The Shining, as Amelia wants to lose it and snaps at poor Mrs. Roach. Bugsy doesn't like that kind of behavior, so he barks at her, runs away when she approaches him. Amelia goes to the kitchen and finds roaches. Good, just what I needed. She notices a crack in the wall where there's basically a disgusting infestation. She starts cleaning the kitchen and someone's at the door. These are people from the community service who are visiting her to discuss Samuel's schooling. Samuel says that he's tired from the drugs his mom gave him. Yeah, that ain't gonna sit right with the authorities. She assures them that it's just sedatives from the doctor's prescription. She tells them all about the roaches, but there's no crack in the wall anymore. Ha. I think I understand this movie better now on my second watch. The authorities arrange for another meeting next week and leave. Amelia cleans the dishes and looks over at Mrs. Roach's house, only to notice the freaking Babadook standing right there next to her. Wait, he's gone now. Man, this movie really messes with your head. Samuel wants to sleep, but it's only 6 in the evening. Who sleeps that early? That's when I wake up on weekends. Anyway, Amelia convinces him to watch some Aussie TV before going back to sleep. The lights flicker again. Everything gets creepier with each passing second now. Amelia tries to sleep, but she can't. Suddenly, she can hear some noises by the door. It's only good old Bugsy. So she lets him in and then goes back to bed, but hears the noises soon again after. Oh man, this is where shit starts to go south. The door opens by itself and you can see a hint of the Babadook enter. Super creepy voices fill up the room. Amelia hides under the blanket. Yeah, like that's gonna help. But anyway, she looks out of her blanket and up at the ceiling, and the bastard is there. He does some really weird shit, making insect noises, and I'm really confused about— oh, there he is! Oh shit! Christ! Fuck! Make a run for it! He seems to attack her, but vanishes instead. Amelia shits her pants, while I send mine to the dry cleaners and picks up Samuel before running out of the room. Dear God, it is one creepy mother lover. Get it? Come on, we need some humor in here. This is too creepy for a grown man like me. Amelia watches some TV downstairs. She ain't sleeping till sunrise now, but she's not off the hook yet. Weird stuff happens on the small screen. There are little devils with headless people, and oh no, that asshole is there too. Babadook makes a guest appearance in between all these disturbing images, and morning arrives. Bugsy barks and interrupts her television time. To make matters worse, her shifts are given away too. She's pissed and tries to sleep, but in comes Samuel again. He's sick after taking the pills. He wants some food and continues babbling about it until Amelia loses it and tells her son to eat shit. Damn, that's nasty. Samuel runs away and Amelia feels bad about it and apologizes to him. She says she hasn't had any sleep, but Samuel just ain't buying it. Amelia does her best to make him feel better and takes him to his favorite restaurant. She happily looks after her little son. He's everything to her. She feels a slight toothache, but that's probably nothing. She doesn't want to go home yet and drives around for some time. But it isn't long until she sees roaches inside her car and that freak Babadook lurking on top. She loses control and bangs into another car. The owner confronts her, but she drives away. I really feel bad for her character. They come back home and Amelia sits in the tub. Samuel arrives and she puts him in the tub too. Once again, with the Shining influences right here. Amelia lies in her bed, hugging Oscar's violin, and she gets pissed when Samuel touches it. Later, she hears noises in her head and goes downstairs. It feels like someone is following her. The voices turn out to be Samuel talking to one of her friends, Gracie. Amelia snatches the phone to tell her it's nothing and scolds Samuel. She pulls out a kitchen knife, and I was pretty worried for a second, but she just cuts the telephone line. Samuel mentions the Babadook again, and Amelia loses it on him. She locks the house and Samuel takes out other weapons to hide. Amelia forces him to take the pill, and he tricks her into believing he did. Amelia watches the Three Little Pigs on TV and sees her dead son. What the fuck? She panics but snaps out of it when Samuel shouts at her. She notices that she was approaching him with a knife. She puts it back and tries to cuddle with Bugsy, but he barks at her and leaves. Amelia and Samuel eat some dessert, but she feels her toothache again, so she cannot finish. We're back to strange stuff on TV, and now we can see stuff that is directly connected to what's happening in the house. The lights go out, and Amelia notices that Samuel and Bugsy aren't there. She's worried, but Samuel suddenly appears and says, "Wake up, mommy." He leads her downstairs, and she then finds her dead husband and has an emotional moment. They share a kiss and everything seems well, till Oscar tells her to bring the boy down. This is not Oscar. This is the bloody Babadook. His voice slowly changes to that creepy shit again, and Amelia runs outside. Lights are flickering and bursting all around her. Amelia turns around and finds the Babadook approaching her. He brings out his claws, and she runs to her room, while I call my own mommy for some company to finish the rest of this movie. Amelia hides in a corner, but a hat drops down. The claws appear from the chimney, and the cloak drops down. Is Mr. Babadook trying to do some twisted striptease? Yeah, I don't have the patience or the mentality for that. Amelia crawls in terror and tries to convince herself it's not real. Babadook attacks her and she wakes up to some horror show playing on TV. Amelia is now clearly insane and Bugsy doesn't like crazy people, so he barks at her. It becomes too much for her and she chases him. No, don't do it, Amelia. Please don't do it. No! She did it. Poor Bugsy gets killed in a very disturbing scene, but it's not even done before I can grab the tissues. Amelia pulls out the tooth that was hurting and has gone full psycho. Well, now that she's gone full Jack Torrance, she chases Samuel and he locks the door to his room. Amelia tries to lure him out by saying that Bugsy needs help. Yeah, she's totally evil now. Amelia shows us that she's taking some gymnastics lessons and breaks down the door. She approaches Samuel just like the Babadook and taunts him by saying she wishes he had died instead of his dad. Samuel pees himself and Amelia makes fun of him and proceeds to mimic the Babadook again. Samuel says she's not his mom. And he's right, this is the freaking Babadook. She screams loudly, but Samuel bursts a cracker to distract her and runs away. She chases him and uses his weapon to fight her. Well, at least one homemade weapon can come in handy for murderous moms. Their little battle is interrupted when someone knocks on the door. It's Mrs. Roach. Amelia deals with it, and it looks like she's come back to her senses. She almost wins her son back till she says that she wants him to meet his dad. Yet she's still a crazy killer lady, and Samuel freaking stabs her in the knees and runs off. She chases after him but gets busted by his traps. He manages to knock her out. Who would have known the little bugger had it in him? Amelia wakes up all tied up and makes some crazy noises. Samuel says that the Babadook won't let her love him, but he still loves her. Oh, ain't that sweet. Mommy doesn't like that kind of talk, so she tries to strangle him instead. Samuel affectionately touches her cheeks, and she lets him go before experiencing some really bad convulsions. She fights the Babadook and spits him out of her body. There's some black goo and blood. Oh man, it's so much blood, I think I'm gonna be sick. Amelia collapses and wakes up after some pleading from Samuel. They are reunited, and all seems good till that nasty Babadook snatches Samuel away and Amelia chases after them. We see some good effects with the kids thrown against the wall and the shaky bed movements. Amelia has had enough time to ask what he wants. The shaking stops and she sees Oscar again. He tells her to wait only another 10 minutes and they'll be there. She's reliving the accident one more time. There's some pretty bad CGI showing his head and how it's chopped into 2 pieces. But this movie is so freaking awesome that I'm not even mad about it. The Babadook approaches and Amelia realizes it's all in her head. The house starts shaking and she shouts, "You're nothing." The fancy dress monster is pissed, but she doesn't stop and threatens him not to touch Samuel or she'll kill him. He tries to snatch him, but she holds onto her son and screams back at the monster. Babadook loses and recedes for a moment, before then appearing back again and then collapsing to the floor. Amelia approaches this barely breathing creature despite Samuel advising against it. She touches him and suddenly gets up. A POV shot shows us exactly what his view was before he goes crazy and screams at Amelia before running to the basement, screaming like a mad insect hybrid. Amelia runs behind him and locks the door. It's all over. Phew, everything looks good now. Mrs. Roach is all alive, and I honestly thought that she wasn't going to make it with that crazy person Amelia. The community services people come again and talk to Amelia about Samuel joining school again. There are a few awkward moments where they're told that it's his birthday and it's also his dad's death anniversary. We now see Amelia doing some gardening and Samuel gets her some worms. She goes down to the basement with them. Wait, what's she doing again? You crazy woman? The worms are for Babadook and we get proof when he surprises her from behind. But she's not the one who's afraid. She tells him it's alright. He goes back into the shadows and snatches the worms with his powers. Yet another WTF moment. The movie ends with the mother and son enjoying some food and magic. Everyone gets a happy ending, eh? Well, not Bugsy though, and I'm still sad about that one. Well, there you guys have it. That was our recap of The Babadook. You got any more movies in mind that you want us to cover? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you like the video. You can also support me on Patreon for more exclusive content. Alright guys, see you in the next one.